and welcome to Geopolitical Trends. So excited to be with you. An interesting topic that just came under my radar, but also because of one of our viewers in the community sent a comment, and he mentioned that also. So I went in, digged into it, and I kind of like, oh my gosh, this is big. So this is the reason why I decided to do live stream today, since we are not doing anything on the big channel. There are some works going on regarding the course which we'll launch next week. I'm going to talk about all this. So, but before I'll dig deeper into any of this, like always, I like to welcome all of you. If this is your first time landing here, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. That will greatly be appreciated. So I like to give a shout out to two new members of the channel, Bobby Ang, becoming a supporter of the channel, and Phil. Thank you so much, Phil. Appreciate your continued support. We are right now about 82 members and supporters. As I promised you, once we reach 100, I'm going to do an exclusive Q&A for the members only. So I also have a few announcements for you guys. Make sure to check out my health channel because it's moving there. So let me send you guys the link because I'm starting to put some videos there, and I would like you to learn from it. That's the whole idea of it. It's to share knowledge, no more, no less. So here is the link for the health channel. You guys check it out, and also don't forget to subscribe on that channel. So the second thing regarding the health channel is I will be having a conversation with a health professional this evening. So it will be about 19:30. So make sure to join me, and I'm going to send you the link to it as well. So you can, and you guys are going to be surprised to see who the health professional person is. So I don't want to spoil it for you. So I want you guys to see that one. So also, I want to remind you about tomorrow. Now, tomorrow I have a conversation. We'll be having a conversation with Dr. Hammond. If you do not know who Dr. Hammond, he is an American with a specialty on Chinese history. He's the only one I know in this country. I can trust his judgment. So he's a historian by trade, professor at New Mexico State University, and he's a friend. So I look forward to that conversation tomorrow at 1400 hours. And also want to share with you the link to the private course, because I did promise you I will send you guys the link. So for you, if you are interested in this course, we're giving up about 20% off for that. So check it out if you're interested. It's going to be launched next week. I'm going to be digging into really, does the government work or it doesn't? But it goes beyond just the branches of the government, the legislative, executives, and so forth. So I'm going to dig deeper into all this. So check it out if you are interested. And the last thing is I've been doing locals, rumbles also. So make sure to follow me also on the locals. And you follow me on Twitter at @dwalalu if you are interested. So, all right, let's get into our topic today. So, and once again, to those who just logged in, we're going to be talking about the second largest city in the UK, Birmingham, filing a bankruptcy. Now, what does it mean? Some may say, well, yeah, and there is nothing mysterious about it. Most cities do file for bankruptcy. It's the timing of it, is the circumstances surrounding this. And also, what this filing of bankruptcy, what does it mean for not only the city of Birmingham, but the UK as a whole, as a country? So, and the third question is, we need to put it within the big picture of the old continent, Europe. We all know how fragmented Europe is, given how blindly they've been following the policies of their master, the United States, regarding Ukraine, which is pathetic. I've been arguing this since the beginning. As a matter of fact, I argued in my Russia book a few years ago that the West keep pushing to Russia's doorsteps, ain't gonna bode well for the Western world. And as you may know, that Ukraine just announced that a Russian missile has landed in Romania. It attacked Romania. Well, no, it's a lie. I did a video for you guys. It's gonna be released soon. And you know the reason why they're trying to do is because Romania is a NATO member. So I mean, how can you trust the Ukrainian government? So anyway, this is what we're gonna be talking about. And I'll provide you I'm not getting into the filing and bankruptcy stuff, and it's not my area. I don't focus on that. I'm just going to provide you my own assessment, my own analysis, and put it within the current global trends taking place. Remember, there is a G20 summit that's going to start after tomorrow. And by the way, be on the lookout for a video I'm going to release tomorrow. I think the channel's members already have access to that, because that's one of the perks they get to see it before it goes public. So I will be releasing one, and the big blow to G20 is that President Xi will not be attending. The Chinese delegation will be going, but President Xi himself will not, which to me as a geopolitical analyst, that's a big blow to G20. It's a big blow. Wait till you guys watch the video, okay? Then after that, if you would like me to do a live stream with more depth or more detail, I'll be happy to do it. So let's get into our topic here. Well, just happened 2 days ago, on September 5th to be exact. The city of Birmingham, which is a big city in England. I think I do have some family members living in Birmingham. I've never been there in Birmingham, but I've been in London, of course, and we used to deal with the British government when I was in Washington. And you all know about MI5, you all know about MI6, the GCHQ, all that. That's in London stuff. So anyway, on September 5th, Birmingham City filed, which is the second largest city in the UK, filed for bankruptcy. To them, we do have, under our laws here in the US, we have Chapter 11. For them is Section 114. Which effectively meaning what? Declaring bankruptcy, and the question becomes is why? Well, it's a simple reason, but this one goes way back. You have to go a few years back when a decision was made by the court, and I'm going to share this with you as I move forward. For now, suffice it that I give you at least a background for you to understand. It's because the city doesn't have enough funds, okay? Doesn't have enough money to pay what is required by law, to pay about 760 million euros, the equivalency of almost, give or take, about almost $1 billion, 960, somewhere around that figure. So rounded to $1 billion. So, and what is this for? This is based on a decision by a court for an equal pay claims. The bottom line is that the females in the government were not paid, were paid far less than the men in the UK. Still, even for us in the US a few years ago, I think it still exists. For every dollar a male gets, a female gets about 82 to 89 cents, which to me is problematic. Why is a woman or a female getting less than a male? If she is smart enough and qualified to hold the position and so forth, why is she being paid equally as men if we are to talk about equality? So this is part of what that is. So the city doesn't have enough money to pay, almost, as I said, 960 million to almost $1 billion US. So where the big trouble here is that with the city, because remember, the council in Birmingham, and for those who are joining me from the UK, you all know that the council there, it's one of the Europe's largest local authority, Birmingham, that is. It's considered very, very big. And this is part of one of the reasons also why it ended up filing bankruptcy, because if you recall, in 2022, the city hosted what they call the Commonwealth game. Now remember, there is a lot of debt go into when a country hosts certain games, certain events on a global stage and so forth. Well, the city had to acquire a lot of debt also. Yes, they end up making, like for example, for the World Cup, the soccer stuff, the country that hosted ends up making money to a degree, but it costs so much to build the infrastructure for it. So part of the problems in in Birmingham is that it faced about $109 million deficit. So because it hosted the Commonwealth Games. So, but here is the fundamental issue, not just about the Commonwealth Games. It has to do with the equal pay, because this is what at the heart of it. So you have to go back about a decade plus. So to be exact, 12 years ago, when the Supreme Court in England ruled in favor of a group of mostly female employees who were not receiving bonus payments like their male counterparts, and because that was given to their counterpart, the male counterpart, so, or male-dominated role in the Birmingham Council. That is where, let me share the link with you guys, because you need to take a look at that when you have a chance to read it, and you can see some detail on that one. Okay, here is the link. Oh, I did see someone put super sticker. Oh, Anna Kiblis, thank you so much for your super sticker. I much appreciate it, and I haven't seen you for a while, so I hope all is well. Once again, thank you so much for your super sticker. Osiris the Great, thank you as always for your support, man. I truly appreciate it. Thank you. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. So as I said, you guys look at that link for let me share a picture here for you, for those who might just happen to join us here, so you know what are we talking about here. I'm gonna leave this here for just a second here. We're talking about the bankruptcy filed by the second largest council in Europe, Birmingham City. So basically, where it will be the problem is that now, and mind you, before I forget, mind you, that the city of Birmingham, just in June, has already paid about, based on the record that I looked at, about 1.1 billion euros in equal pay claim. But it still has more to pay for the remaining of the claim. So this is where part of the problem is. So because the rule of this decision by the court in 2012 sort of set a fixed amount that the UK has to pay. But here is where, to me, part of where the bigger picture. Remember when I asked at the beginning, you have to take this within the bigger picture. Well, the big picture, this is a signal. It's a sign for what's coming regarding Europe, financial health, and economic well-being. I feel comfortable. I'm going to say it straightforward. I feel comfortable saying at this time that the German economy is not coming back up. I feel comfortable saying that UK, with this filing, it's another step closer to the country collapsing financially. Of course, you will still have certain aspects of financial transactions and so forth. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the average Joe, average Jane, because mind you, that the poverty in England, it is going up. It's no different than it is in the United States. This is a picture from England. You know, we have ours here. If you only see the images, or the pictures rather, in LA, certain sections in LA, how bad it is as far as the homelessness and poverty that is on the rise. So you ask yourself, okay, a country like the UK, all of a sudden you have some of its biggest cities are filing for bankruptcy. What is going on? Of course, there's the argument that the government's saying, Oh, it's that their problem, meaning the city problem. So the central government is saying, ain't our problem. That's Birmingham City's problem. No, it's because you have the incompetent Sunak, and before him was the Bojo, and before him was the Liz Truss. I mean, UK has been going down for the last 20 plus years. Gone the era where Margaret Thatcher, yes, she, the Iron Lady and so forth, whatever. But how can we all forget her decisions regarding the Falkland against Argentina? I mean, we had to do some behind the scenes support for the Brits with the Falkland. Nobody's going to forget that. But of course, economically speaking, UK has been going down. And this is where I see the big problem, because already problems in UK regarding the inflation, which the government doesn't talk much about. This is what I talked about yesterday on the locals. Our inflation here, it's induced and introduced by the government by design. You guys have to start realizing the big picture. I mean, don't tell me that you are not sensing what's going on around the world. Something is off. It's by design, by the globalists, by the elites. The governments are nothing but a conduits, a medium by which to achieve those objectives. And those are very horrible thing that lies ahead. Look no further than now what's going on with the conversation regarding COVID and all that. Already pushing that narrative for the need for another lockdown, for the need for another vaccine, for the need for another this and this and that, which we all know it's nothing but a distraction, but also a plan. That's what I'm saying, guys. Keep your eyes open and pay close attention to what's going on. So the bankruptcy, it's nothing but a sign for what lies ahead in Europe, more so than it is in the United States. We are also bankrupt, believe it or not, because we are financing whatever through deficit here in the US. And where do we get that money from? We're going to have to either beg China or print more money. And the more you print, the weaker you're making your currency. And now with the events of the BRICS that just concluded, you all see where things are headed. So this is where the big issue in the UK that is going on. Now, you can't ignore, I don't care how anybody says it, you cannot ignore the role of the government vis-a-vis what's taking place or what just took place in Birmingham. What am I referring to here? I am referring to the UK's government spending regarding Ukraine. Okay? Because here's the thing. You just have to go back to just 1 year. How much money has the UK spent on weapons for Ukraine? Can anybody give me an estimate or just give me a guess? Throw a number, write it down on the chat box there so I can see it. Just a guess. I want you to give me a guess, please. Oh, Caramel Crush, thank you so much for your super sticker. Truly appreciate your support. It means a lot. Thank you so much. Yeah, anybody can give me a number here. Oh, KL, once again, thank you so much, KL. Appreciate your continued support. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much, sir. All right, can anybody tell me, guys? Just give me a number. Just a wild guess. 30 billion pounds. Yeah, sort of. A little bit too much. So it was about 2.3, give or take, billion pounds or euros. We round it to euros. So round it up to $3 billion. Now, you take an example, and this is, by the way, just for specific time frame, and the time frame was only in 2022. Remember, the first 3 months or 4 months after the conflict erupted, UK start doing that. So how come they didn't allocate the funding to deal with their own cities? Isn't Birmingham a city inside the UK? Aren't the citizens in Birmingham deserve a better life? It's no different than what we do with our what's the word? I'm trying to find a word to describe our pathetic government headed by Biden, weak government, lying through his teeth. And yet we keep sending more money. As a matter of fact, yesterday, the what's his name, Mitch McConnell, which damn guy needs to retire, man. Come on. Those guys wants to hold to power till they go to the grave and take the power with them. And you know what he was calling for? That the Biden administration is not doing enough to send more money to Ukraine. While Americans are struggling, inflation's still going up. Nothing is changing. So this is part of the problem in the UK. So the same level for the spending for the military, that is now doubled. We're looking at, remember, 2023 is not over yet. UK has already spent about $6 to $7 billion US dollar. The numbers I looked at, I found about 5 billion euros. So if you round that up to the US dollar, you'll be looking at about $6 billion or so. So why all this? Is because the government, be it Bojo's government, Liz Truss government, or the current incompetent Sunak, they are doing what they are being told. Basically, that's what it is. So that is part of where the issue is, and that's just one issue. Okay, the spending. Mind you that Sunak is on his way. I think I have a picture for you guys to G20 summit. Yeah, right there. He's on his way to G20. Guys, why I'm laughing? It's because G20 is becoming irrelevant. Wait until you see the video tomorrow. I did a short, and I intend to do, if you guys want me to do a live stream on it, because there's a lot to cover. And basically, I almost feel like saying this. When President Xi decided not to go, of course, the Chinese delegation is going, and Biden saying, oh, I am so disappointed I don't get a chance to meet President Xi. I feel like if I get into President Xi's head, I'll be like seeing him thinking or saying, oh, G20 ain't for me. Let those knuckleheads just rumble for no sense. For no nothing, basically. So because here is the hard truth that you need to understand about G20. G20 will have to adopt the language that the US is going to dictate. Basically, G20 will have to go by what Washington dictates. This is why the Russians refuse to support any final communique from the G20, and let alone what India just did. And I found that I wished I would have kept that. They had to clear up the slums, but guess what they did in the process? Destroy some people's homes that might not be well completed and so forth. I saw a picture of an Indian female crying because her home was destroyed because the government said, oh, we need to clear the swamp here because foreign leaders are coming. We don't want them to see how the slump is. So if you, as a head of state, in this case, the Prime Minister Modi, destroying the life of an Indian citizen so you can show your picture, the image that you don't have any slums, shame on you. Because that Indian citizens deserve something better from the government. And this is when you realize G20 is nothing but hypes. There is nothing of substance of it. So though the delegations attending, yes, some of them will be head of state. It won't amount to nothing. Zero. When you have one of the largest economies in the world not attending, that tells you right there the failure of the G20. So despite what you're going to be reading, and mark my word, you're going to be reading in some Western outlets, be it in London or Paris or Frankfurt and and Madrid and Washington and Brussels and all. Oh, the G20 has agreed to now foment the strengthen the economic ties and develop the world economy and so forth. It's nothing but hypes. No more, no less. That's the way I see it. Because that's what it is. So the idea of thinking in terms of what the G20 summit is gonna accomplish, in the case, and the reason why we bring it this because the UK is part of it, and so here is the Prime Minister going while his cities are filing for bankruptcies. That begs the question: was ever Sunak qualified for the position to begin with? And there is a reason why I put the thumbnail the way I put it, guys, for a reason. I do, by the way, FYI, I don't do random. I do things for a reason. Why did I put this picture with him smiling? Because it's exactly the description. Why will he care? Because he is not advocating for the average Brit. He is advocating for the agenda of the World Economic Forum, because he is a young leader, the same like the dictator Trudeau, the same like the comedian, I call him comedian too, Emmanuel Macron, the same with the tyrant, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda, and now you got Albo of Australia, Kishida of Japan, Yoon of South Korea, Marcos Jr. of Philippines, they all, Tsai of Taiwan, yeah, they all puppet. The weak Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz. So you got the idea, guys. No, and we don't shy away from saying, the truth. That's what it is. So if you are to take this within consideration of, okay, how this all developed, because now becomes the question, what's going to have to be done now? Because when you file a bankruptcy for a city like this, you can't just assume everything's going to be fine. No, it won't. It won't. Because here is what's going to happen. At least my understanding of how things work when a city files for bankruptcy. Now you're going to see a curtailment. In other words, they're going to curtail or reduce or limit the spending in the city. Which means what? Services will be reduced and even eliminated. I don't see them, for example, eliminating the garbage collection, because if you don't, you know what's going to happen. Look no further than the images they were in Paris during the riots that took place and how trash was all over. So I don't see them doing that. But at the same time, you start to cut services here, services there. The citizen will end up asking him or herself, what am I paying the damn taxes for? So that's one. Second thing, the city can also increase taxes. Because remember, there are federal taxes and there are state taxes, at least for us here in the United States, but depends on which city you live. Like, for example, New York. Yeah, you don't want to live in New York, and New York is gone. New York is gone. I remember the days when I went to college, and I went to a college near New York, close by. I will drive about 2 hours to get to New York. We'll always go on a weekend, enjoy it there. It was incredible back then. I mean, New York City, the hallmark or so. I was just in New York about when was it? About in March. Yeah, March. It was before I left overseas to Poland and to Ukraine. New York is gone. Wonderful people, but they're struggling. So what I end up having now, the city, to go back to our topic here for Birmingham, the city might have to increase taxes. Well, we all know how inflation is in England, and yet the government's still sending money to Ukraine. So you're looking at probably public libraries. The operations might end up being sort of reduced. let's say hypothetically, a library will open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., they're going to start saying, well, we're opening from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. You're looking at a street cleaning. We'll clean the streets once a month. You're looking at parks. You're looking at a basic stuff that people use for a weekend, for example, to take your children, if you have kids, to the park. Well, sorry, the park is closed due to lack of funding. So this is where the problem is. But the bigger thing is, this is not about just because here is the thing. Even the prime minister himself, the incompetent Sunak, said, and I quote, let me get the quote here because that's his word. He stated that, I quote, local councils should be responsible for their financial management and the central government would not provide assistance, end of quote. Now, how would you, I ask you just as a common man, how would you interpret this if you hear this from your prime minister, president, or whomever? So, and this is where it's almost, I feel like the city might end up only be left with really, really limited options. And even those options are very limited in themselves to one or two. And if I am to guess, it will only be one: increase taxes. So, while at the same time, the monarchy, of course, you can, because the monarchy, which a lot of people do not know, that the monarchy uses part of the taxes that will be allocated for the lifestyle of the monarchy. I got a serious issues. I'm not a Brit. I'm not British. I'm not. It's their lifestyle. It's their country. Whatever. I'm just speaking from as a human being, looking in, thinking, you gotta have to think twice about that one. And yet you got some. It's their culture. They can stand there all day, watch the king or queen passing by, which I found it very, very stupid and irrational for someone to be standing there all day to just wave to the king or the queen. But again, it's their country. They can do whatever they want. One thing for sure that I will mention is that part of the funding goes to supporting the lifestyle of the monarchy. So the challenges for Birmingham, and by the way, this is not about just Birmingham itself. As I said, you're looking at Europe slowly moving into that direction. Germany's economy, I don't see it going back up anytime soon. And because everything was done by design, and we planned all that. You all remember, I'm sure you do. If you don't, to go check out one of my old videos in the big channel when we talked. I remember Ross and I talked about how the US threatened to sanction Germany if they move forward with the Nord Stream 1. Because remember, there are two, Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2. One is controlled by Germany, two is controlled by Russia. And I said to myself back then, it's like, holy shit, sorry, my language. We are sanctioning an ally? How the heck we get to this? But that tells you right there, Germany has no sovereignty. It has no sovereignty. We dictated the term, and this is why you're seeing the outcome. And I don't shy away from criticizing my government, because if my government does wrong, I'm gonna say it. That's to me what a responsibility of a citizen. Do I care about what's going on in the UK as far as, as a human being, because there might be someone there suffering because of the ill-conceived policies of the government end up impacting. That's the whole reason why I decided to do the course, guys. This course about government is not about just the government itself. It's about those damn decisions they make, how they trickle down to you, to impact you, your health, your finances, your family, your well-being, your business. And this is an example of it. So, it's their country. They can decide whatever. But when you look at now a city of over 1 million people in Birmingham, so And by the way, FYI, for those who do not know a little bit about history, remember when the Industrial Revolution started. Can anybody tell me which city it started on? Let me see if I have a historian here joining us. Which city did the Industrial Revolution start at? And this is, again, guys, why history is very important to understand. Very, very, very important. Manchester City, no. But thank you for trying that one, Cam. London, no. Good try. I appreciate you guys trying. Give it a shot. So yeah, that's how we learn, guys. You're absolutely correct. Hong Kong. It started in Birmingham. That's where it started. So the idea of thinking all of a sudden a city where Industrial Revolution started like this and over 1 million people going into bankruptcy, how that's going to now impact industries, the commerce, the standard of living. And yet you have a prime minister that's saying, oh, ain't my problem. It's the city problem. So who are you representing to begin with? And that's why I put the thumbnail. Why will he care? Because he is representing the elites directed by the World Economic Forum to pursue certain agenda. That's exactly what Justin Trudeau is doing in Canada. If you only know about the woke mentality that is now taking over in Canada. So it's the same thing our government's doing indirectly. The same thing in New Zealand, in Australia, Japan, South Korea to a degree from that aspect. Or Germany for that matter. So, and this is where the problem is like now you have some sort of disruption. Yeah, I use the term disruption to people's livelihood now. Because when a city goes bankrupt, you will notice that. You will notice that. It just, and as a matter of fact, now it's gonna, Europe, this is gonna be like a domino effect. Mark my word on it. It's coming. I'm not sort of surprised in it. You're surprised at the way it came about. If I were a prime minister, forget about attending G20. I gotta attend to the welfare of people. But again, you don't have leaders that care for people or represent people. They are representing their own interest. We have it right here. You look at Mitch McConnell, for example, and I'm not picking on Mitch McConnell, all of them. Did you guys know? I wish I would have. I think I did save it because I am going to share this with you. You need to see it. You need to see it. It's just so much to keep up with, guys. But yeah, I have it right here. So that's why it takes me time to conduct the research before I come on the air. So I'm gonna share a screen with you, and I want you to pay close attention, guys. And again, this is a reflection. I'm talking about my country here. I'm not judging other countries. So let me share a screen with you. There it's coming. Here we go. Look at this one, guys. Those are the representatives. Now, the combined net worth of the 50 richest member of Congress is 4.8, almost $5 billion. Okay? Look. Getting closer to the grave, and they still want power. It's because our system is corrupted to the core. And this is a reflection of really what's going on in the Western world. There are no more leaders in the West. Let's just say it straightforward. What's going on in Europe? It was by design. We planned it certain ways because we never wanted. Get this, guys. I want you to remember. If you get anything out of this live stream, get one thing. We never wanted Europe to get closer to Russia economically because Europe was getting access to cheap energy. If you want your economy to move up, have access to energy. Why do you think China is doing what it's doing as far as securing access to different sources of energy? And this is why, like I said, for the video that I released for you guys about who the beneficiary for the BRICS, for Iran in this case, but also the BRICS as a whole. It's a win-win. Adding Saudi Arabia to it, adding United Arab Emirates, adding Algeria soon. What do they have in common? Energy. So this is one thing we never wanted Europe to have, because we want to keep them under our thumb. That's why I always said, I used to have a conversation with my family in Europe, and I said, you guys will never take stand because you are so weak. And it's my family. We can talk openly and have, we still have dinner together. It's the family thing, but respectfully, of course. So that is what's at the heart of it. So by having UK following, of course, this is look no further than now with what's going on in New Zealand with the AUKUS thing. We wanted to suck in New Zealand into the orbit of AUKUS. So that's it. You know what I wish? And again, me looking outside in, I hope Mahota, the current foreign minister, runs for the PM position. I bet you if she does, the New Zealanders will support her, but I am certain also the machinery behind closed doors will undermine her. That's the way I see it. I used to work in Washington, so I kind of know how these things work. So this is where that challenge is. And that's why the idea of understanding this dynamics, it's going to be enough for whole Europe. This is one of the largest municipality in Europe, second largest city in England, but also the largest has the councillor in Europe. So we had it too here in the US, and I did find, believe it or not, I digged in the archives, and what I found was I found an article from about 2010, an old one, and it was a guy by the name Trulia. He was the chief economist at that time, and he talked about, and I'm going to send you a link, guys. So what happens? What should happen? Should people now, for example, flee their homes, like in this case of Birmingham? Should the locals just leave? No. Because how it works is the city will have to sort of go back to the drawing board and figure out about the finances. This is why you have to pay attention to what's going on around the world. That's why I said earlier, don't tell me you are not sensing something is going on. Everything for inflation being introduced to now these lockdowns, to all of a sudden vaccines, to all of a sudden COVID again, to this and that, all is meant for one objective and one objective only: to put a lid. Because like I always say, the biggest threat to any government is when you have an informed citizenry. If you become well informed, you become a threat to the government. And the government has to find any means to keep you distracted. This is why you are seeing now, at least for us, all of a sudden, because it's the time of the year, now all about football, I have nothing against football, American football, not the soccer they call in Europe. I have nothing against football here, but I also question the judgments of how come a football player is being paid millions and millions of dollars on a heart surgeon who went through school and put himself through a rigorous journey to get to where he is, swim in a debt for him to reach that level, and yet doesn't get any appreciation. It's all about design. It's all by design by the government. I gotta keep your health down, because I don't want you to be aware of what you are consuming. Because if you start to know what you're consuming, you're gonna start to make the right decisions to stay healthy. If you stay healthy, pharmaceuticals do not make money. Why do you guys think I went ahead and created the Health Channel? I've learned over the years. And to me was, I gotta pass on that knowledge. If I keep it to myself, forget about it. And even my guest, who's gonna be with me tonight, is willing to come on a weekly basis to share his knowledge in health. Someone I trust because I saw. So even government for consumption of food, they don't care. They want you guys sick. This is where the plan is, all emanating from Switzerland. And who's going to push for this agenda is those in power within each government. UK, Germany, US, Canada, France, New Zealand, Australia, you name it. You got the idea. So, as I said, I'm going to share an old story with you here, which happens, by the way, in California. There were about 3 cities that have filed for bankruptcy back then. Remember, this is about literally 14, 15 years ago. It was Stockton in the Central Valley. It was Mammoth Lakes near Yosemite and the Sierras, and San Bernardino in the sprawling inland empire of the east of of LA, Los Angeles, that is. So, and they asked this economist, what should we do? He said, no. Should we leave? Should we, whatever? He said, no, you don't have to leave. You don't have to. And he gave an explanation as to why that is. So, because for a city to file for bankruptcy, which some cities do that, it just if they are insolvent or are unable to pay their debt, then it becomes due. That becomes a problem. This is exactly what happened for us with the debt ceiling debates. We had to increase the debt limit. So only to turn around and ask China, please give us money. And China this time around might be smart enough to say no. This is why when I made the video about the UK, I said, will the UK beg China for help? Of course, if the UK gets the green light from its masters. Because remember, UK or any other European country can't do squat without the approval of the US. Your Ukraine conflict is a case in point. Better yet, what's taking place right now in Niger? Just think about it. Take a step back and think about it. How come you do not hear any word from the revolutions that's taking place in that part of the world about the United States? Rather, you hear it about France. It's because we threw France under the bus. And the reason being, you have to go back a few months ago when French President Emmanuel Macron said, and I quote, I paraphrase here, he said that we, meaning Europeans, need to reduce our dependency on the US dollar. End of quote. That's what he said back then. A few months after that, he expressed interest in BRICS because BRICS were talking about bypassing the US dollar. All of a sudden, coincided with the revolution in Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, you got the rest. You got the idea. Europe has no power whatsoever to take stand. If they were to take stand, they would have left NATO to begin with. And this is why we are very concerned about, what's her name, Marine Le Pen. She's the far right in France. If she wins the presidential elections in France, you know what her first order of business is? To pull France out of NATO. President can sign a decree. As to Germany, no, I don't see Germany doing it. Germany's so weak. And Germany next, as far as the economic demise. So this is why. Oh, let me share the link with you guys so you can take a look at it and read it later if you want to. All right, here is the link, guys. That's an old one, by the way. That's an old one. So that's the bottom line. I'm gonna just summarize all this, guys. I want you to put this within the bigger context, bigger picture. The There are plans, not a plan, plans in the works as far as how to reorganize, reorder, rearrange the world setting, because some entities wants to call and push for one world government. Can you imagine what kind of life we're going to have? But if you have citizens, doesn't matter what part of the world, they are so consumed by trivials, things that don't matter. This is why I always find it very unusual and weird for some people to spend their energy on putting some negative comments rather than learning. I never get it. What do? You forgive. Anyway, guys, I am gonna stop right here because, as I always promised you, when I don't have anything to add, that's when I stop, because I don't want to just rumble here. So, as a reminder, make sure to join me tonight at 19:30, 7:30 p.m. For the health conversation with this health professional. I want to keep it a surprise for you, but you guys can see Dr. Stewart. And also tomorrow for a very, very interesting conversation with Dr. Hammond about the history of China and how China is going to manage now its role on the global stage. And will the West ever learn about the history of China? So, as always, guys, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time. Bye-bye.